Hey, welcome everyone. This is Keo Boom Diekin. Welcome back to my exclusive Firework channel. I'm joined today with two of the pyro enthusiasts in the community. I have Austin with me, and I also have Steve Pyrotechnics. You guys know who he is, so I
They
invited
know who
them
I
on.
am. Not to cut you off, but they know who I am by that F10 Pyro on YouTube, and that
Ah,
also on Instagram.
F10 Pyro, perfect.
Yep, and
So,
I'm Crazy Steve Pyrotechnics, also on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram as well.
all right, thank you guys. So I invited them on today to just kind of have a little chat about fireworks, things that's going on in the community, and some of the topics we're going to cover today are overloads, what's going on social media, noobs and people joining the community, wanting to know what's what, and so these guys they shoot more fireworks than I do, and so I love to reach out to other people who are familiar with different various things in the community to help inform those on my channel about what's up, what's going on, some of the best things that's going on. And so they're cool. They're overall cool guys. And so if you guys have a moment, make sure you check out the YouTube channels. They have some interesting content on there. Crazy Steve, you guys know him because he has been on my channel before. So Steve, what's up, man? What's going on today?
Nothing really, just got done flying our seaplanes with fireworks strapped to them. We can't do much out here because of red flag warnings. The corn is way too dry. We're looking at starting fires if we light anything. So.
Right. And F1, tell us about yourself, man. You're new to my channel, so go ahead and introduce
F10,
yourself.
my guy.
Oh,
And
F10, my bad.
me,
F10.
I'm just your average car guy and pyro hobbyist who just does what he does.
Awesome. You know, I've seen one of your videos. You showed it to me. I think one of the funniest videos you showed me was you lit a firework, and I think you were by a lake or something. And you just
Oh,
put it in the wind. It's like you lit it, and then you just ran, like a bat out of hell to get out of there. So I think that's one of the most memorable videos that I remember about you.
well, there is that video. That video was also shared with Steven. That was when me and him actually had a meetup that unfortunately you could not make at the time.
Ah,
That was actually Steven running like a bat out of hell away from what he lit. I was the long haired white guy in the foreground of the video from my other buddy who was filming for us. And for some reason, I just failed to record it at the time, which happens.
right.
You know,
I think it was best that we didn't record that after what happened, though. If we remember what happened correctly, we got
if we remember what happened, it was best that we got out of there when we did.
Let's just say
Was a fun time, but there is a time and place to light everything, and that was not the time or place.
Oh wow.
And we'll leave it at that.
Perfect. So so you guys are admins and moderators for a few groups on social media,
We
and
are.
and
Yes.
so I just wanted to get your opinion. I know there's a lot of new people coming into the hobby, and you guys apparently get a lot of questions, primarily about
Yeah.
overloads. So
Oh Lord.
what
Yeah.
what are
So
your guys' views on overloads as far as either what to shoot, what not to shoot, what to show, labels?
well, there's certain things you need to just be quiet about,
Hmm.
especially with any type of new product, any type of stuff that sometimes has been around for a while.
Hmm.
But there is just this unwritten rule of pyro. If you get something that yes you're excited about and you really haven't seen a lot of it out there, just don't post it. It's just a very simple just rule of thumb, just relax on it. If it's been out for years and years and years, it's not really a secret no more.
Right.
That's fine in a
a
way.
good example of that would be like Boombox. That's been out
Boombox is a great example. It's a smaller artillery kit. Everybody's known about it. It's been out probably since the early 2000s was the original version of it. And back then they were
it's on
actual
the ban
fall
list,
shows.
and you can still find it anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can still find them everywhere. You can find them across the nation. I've even seen Euro versions that exist, which is amazing to me. But no, like in general, just with that stuff, with overloads, it's a hit or miss thing. A lot of that stuff You know, you can see shells on the box, for example. I'm not going to say a brand, but there is a certain brand out there that says, oh, these are overloaded shells, and it comes, I think, a 18-pack. Steven has seen them. Keo, I'm sure you've seen them a few times.
Right.
And they're like, oh, overloaded. Normally, you'll see them on, like, reservations and, like, Muckleshoot and stuff. You'll see them there.
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of really aren't what you would go for. Those are your standard aerials.
Okay.
Overloads by default with description are fireworks that obviously are overloaded either with flash powder or star content.
Okay.
Just to make it bigger, brighter, you know. And there's always going to be that need for it in the market. There's always going to be that little niche of customers that want to pay that little extra $10 to have something better than, you know, their neighbor down the block.
Right.
That's always going to happen. That will always exist. There is no, you know, really right or wrong with it. It's not exactly the best idea, but and moving along with that, safety-wise, overload should not be treated like your normal consumer.
Okay, got you.
Absolutely, I would agree.
It really is never should be. It should be treated as such, like as if you were shooting a professional show. You need to have your safety distances in order. You need to really think about the angle of the firework, you know, the yield of it, how big's the spread, is it going to touch the ground? Like, all of these different variables need to be accounted for when you shoot overload.
And when it comes down to it, what a lot of people don't realize is when you are dealing with overload, you are dealing with a 1.3 firework in a 1.4 label. That's the only difference is, you know, it's just labeled wrong and sent over to the States wrong, you know. So, you know, you're playing with a 1.3 firework and a 1.4 label. 1.3 fireworks are not as forgiving as 1.4, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, that's the one thing I was going to ask you was for you guys to clarify what's the difference between an overload versus 1.3. But you guys are saying that overload is
1.3, and I know Steven will interject on this also. 1.3 is unlimited powder content.
Mm-hmm.
Overload 1.4 is limited to a point. They do kind of regulate themselves to a point because you can only fit so much in, say, a canister shell.
Right.
Like a 175 canister shell. You can only fit so much. Steven, you will agree with me on this. You can only fit so much in a 5-inch shell.
The products coming out that are 7-inch, 8-inch canisters because they offer that more room.
Yes. That's a great example. And they say, oh, they're double break, but in reality, they are realistically a single break firework.
Okay. So, how do you guys feel? What is your reaction when people new to the hobby message you guys out of the blue, asking you for labels or overloaded fireworks? How do you guys handle that, and typically what happens?
I'll let Steven answer his first, and I'll tell you my answer to that.
My answer is usually I need to get to know you better. I need to know you're not a complete moron.
Okay.
So colorful.
Just being honest.
But yes, that is basically the gist of how some people view it. My view in it is, yes, I need to get to know you before I give you any rough information, because I have new information for a lot of the newer stuff, and I also have information from stuff from the 80s and 70s that has been brought in. It's amazing that this stuff has endured for as long as it has, and some of it's still in shooting quality. Right. But it's when you simply just come out and ask us on, you know, our social media platforms or in our Facebook groups, or you message one of us, and we kind of really don't respond to you in the way you were thinking, that we would, you know, kind of entertain the idea of telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, it's not something that you just openly ask about. It's very kept close to the vest. We know the products are out there. There's no real stopping it. But you just kind of have to have some couth about it. You know, build a conversation with us, and actually we need to get to know you before we give you any type of information. We need to know you're not, you know, some 13-year-old kid that's going to blow his hand off with a salute rocket, you know?
Right.
In other words, that's basically the gist of it.
An accident with an overloaded product. That was with the Talon rocket a couple of years ago.
Those rockets are really hard to find because of that now. And because they became so widely known, and then they became widely known. And yes, what happened was, I'm not going to give specific details, but he found just the top of the shell of the rocket, and he lit that top fuse. Now, anybody that's been around fireworks for so long realizes that fuse is not the fuse you light. You light the one that's actually on the bottom of the rocket, which then transfers everything up via the time fuse.
Right. Hold up. All right, go ahead. Continue. What were you saying?
We were saying about, the simple accident that did happen at the time of he lit the time fuse and then exploded, which time fuse is only about 1 or 2 seconds delayed. There's not enough time to get away from that.
Oh, I see.
And the biggest thing with those rockets is what actually people don't realize is that is actually an instant fuse. So when that motor burns out, it's actually shooting and lighting an instant pink fuse that burns at about 450 feet a second. So it's an instant. You don't have time to let go of that. And that's a lot of the reasons why we say if you don't have experience with pyro, don't take apart fireworks, try to light them differently. Because as you can see as an example, someone lost their hand because of a simple fuse.
Wow. That's that's really unfortunate.
On the other end of that spectrum is the simple fact we do have club events. We do have PGI, NFA, which do educate young pyros in the ways of pyro.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also a great outlet for young pyros to actually learn and build relationships with, fellow pyros in the industry, whether they're their own age. I know there's the JPA. Those are great kids to be around. They know a lot for their age.
The other great event that a lot of pyros can attend is actually in Missouri. It's called Sky Wars, formerly known as Pyromania. They actually have the Missouri Pyrotechnics Association actually does a event before Sky Wars where you can actually go out onto the field and learn about fireworks. So if you guys are actually interested in learning about fireworks, that's another option for you guys to learn more.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Excellent outlet for learning and experience. I'd love to move on towards the social media outlook of fireworks and posting and how that works.
Yeah, definitely. The reason why I was asking is because I know a lot of people, admins and moderators, it's very a taboo thing to talk about overloads online. And I know from one aspect of it, you do have the crowd, they want to protect labels and stuff. But, if you're a newbie, you're probably saying to yourself, well, what does it really matter when if I'm posting something that I own, what does it really matter to you? So, but what are your thoughts on that, just in terms of just trying to protect labels?
I'll let Steven talk about that first because me and him both can read Mandarin, which comes on the brown boxes. But I'll let him talk about it first.
I mean, a lot of it comes down to is that the Consumer Product Safety Commission actually hires people to look for this kind of stuff. So if you have, say, an overloaded cake that has all salutes in it, they're looking for that. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for stuff that's labeled wrong. And this is how they end up on the ban list. So when you're posting them to social media with the labels clearly exposed, what you're doing is you're giving them an open opportunity to find overloaded product. And that's what it comes down to. So when it comes to posting overload, if you're going to post it, just pull the label off. We don't need to know what the cake is. You can upload a video of a good example of this is, a 3-inch battery that's 36 shots. You don't want to post that online.
Yeah, there's plenty of those out there. Another good one is, there's a few of the things I've posted. Not to name names on cakes, but I use emojis when I post them. I don't post the true names of them. You really shouldn't. Yes, I do have a video of my stash, but those products have been out for years. Some of that stuff you can get away with, some of it you cannot. There's definitely a written rule when it comes to that. And with covering labels, in my mind, I believe you should, I believe you shouldn't. If it's new, yes, cover it. If it's been out for 10 years plus, it's already past the point of even being made. What's left is what's left. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because your average shells that you're going to see on a store shelf, some of that stuff is easily, I know from this year, I was seeing stuff from 2008 and 2006 still brand new.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a great example of, fireworks. China exports a lot. Like, it happens. You're always going to have more.
Definitely.
Yep, and the reason why we really need to protect our overloaded product is because it is getting more and more scarce as well.
Yep.
The more, I see these Cali Pyros posting all these cake names up there, and it's just like you find them on the ban list the next year.
You cannot do it.
Yeah. So,
and not to interject and not really point fingers, I mean, Cali, yes, they have a market for them out there. They always want to one-up each other in the neighborhood. And I understand that camaraderie. I know it happens all over the U.S. It happens, here in the Midwest. It happens on the East Coast. It happens in Hawaii. Hawaii is amazing on the 4th of July.
Hawaii has an incredible underground market, that's for sure.
Yes, they do, and it's beautiful shells too. It's really just mind your P's and Q's, especially in the Facebook groups. Like, don't be rude to fellow pyros. Just try to have an understanding with them. Like, all of us are in the same hobby for the same reasons. We all like stuff that goes boom. We always like looking at pretty lights in the sky after it does.
Yes. Speaking of which, I want to talk a little bit about what happened this year with all the fireworks. So as you guys know, this year with fireworks, I'm not going to say there was a shortage. I know there was a shortage more or less on the West Coast. I'll get into that into another video. But I just want to find out what happened this year with you guys on in the Midwest, and do you anticipate the craziness that happened or lack of fireworks here on the West Coast to maybe happen on the East Coast? Because I know that there was another explosion in China. I think it was a firecracker factory. So if you guys want to chime in on that, let me know what your thoughts are.
I would love to chime in on it. I know the Midwest was incredible. We consume.
All right.
Moment.
All right, Austin, go ahead.
Yeah, and I would love to chime in on it. Yeah, with the factory and everything exploding, there's been several factory explosions and safety regulations imposed in China. And in the Midwest, we've consumed. I know this year was ungodly for stores. There was the amount with COVID and everything was, shows being canceled, citywide shows that normally, parents would take their kids to, and, there isn't that, that summer nostalgia of going to see your local fireworks, show on the river or in a park or, your high school football field if you're really out in the country. So backyard shows have become rampant now, and I'm living for it. It's honestly very nostalgic to me because growing up here in the Midwest in a relatively small town, which it's not a small town no more, but our shows were mainly all backyard shows. You would have neighbors come through with, garbage cans of fireworks, just huge metal garbage cans just filled to the top with fireworks. And all the families get together and light. And now, like with COVID, that's kind of come back, and I'm really for it. And the shortage in the Midwest, I really want to say, wasn't necessarily a lot of the bigger items.
Mm-hmm.
It was more the novelties, all the kids stuff to keep the kids busy. That definitely was in a shortage.
Yeah, I noticed that there was a lack of even the ground bloomers. I didn't see any ground bloomers.
Oh my Lord, ground blooms were gone. When me, Steven, and another fellow pyro went to Superstore, they have a whole wall of poppets and snaps. They were gone. There was maybe two, flats, which are, 20 boxes a box. That was it left. And this was right after. This was in August. They were cleaned out of so much. And that store is 110,000 square feet, almost 2 acres under one roof.
Mm-hmm.
That says a lot.
I mean, when you think about it, it's crazy. You know, Americans last year, I believe there was like 239 million pounds of fireworks in the USA were used by consumers.
And then this year.
Last year. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me this year if, 267 million pounds of fireworks were consumed. You know, because you had...
Yeah, I'd have to say it's closer to 300 if we want to be specific. The amount of backyard shows was incredible.
Right.
I can honestly say I've never seen the lake here by my house like it was this 4th of July. It was a war zone.
Yeah, I can.
Back to the Sandlot movie where you can visually play baseball in the middle of the night because it was so lit up.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we pretty much lit it up out here too. On the West Coast, but I know out there in the Midwest, you guys can blow a hole in the earth and nobody would pretty much care.
Yeah, that is the difference. The Midwest pyros, especially the dirty South pyros. I'm not gonna short y'all. Y'all really go hard. Y'all give us a run for our money every year. The dirty South really comes at our throats for sheer size of shows.
What are they using? Are they using Tannerite or what?
What'd you say, Keo?
I said, are they using Tannerite or what?
No, they just shoot more. The state of Georgia is ungodly.
Yeah.
Georgia and Louisiana. Oh my Lord, those two states. Those two states are ungodly for pyro use. They really have become like what Iowa and Missouri are. That is ridiculous. Everybody's like, oh, Iowa corn. Iowa is now one of the largest firework areas, and that's where some of the best product I've seen come out is coming from now. There's been so many stores popping up in that state at a rapid rate, and Steven will agree with me.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely agree.
And long-standing states like Wisconsin and Missouri, which are so well known for fireworks.
Oh, yeah.
They're getting a run for their money because that's their border state, and that border state is popping up stores. To the point, right. Stores from Missouri and Wisconsin are popping up there.
I haven't bought any fireworks in that part of the USA yet. I know I've gotten some stuff in New Mexico. I think it was Tennessee, obviously.
And a lot with that, Keo, is a lot of your brands that you get out there come from us here.
Right.
Sky Bacon, Hales, all of these great Midwest brands. Heck, I think even T-Sky is, if I remember correctly, is out in Nebraska.
T-Sky is Nebraska.
Same with Wild Willie's, Red Rhino, all those products that you guys lust over out there on the West,
mm-hmm.
that all originated here. The Midwest is a hub for fireworks.
Oh, definitely.
Which makes no sense. We're nowhere near any shipping port or anything, but it's just the simple fact we've consumed so much here. We have so much room with farms and everything else. Backyard shows are just a commodity. They're always going on.
Well, not just that too. Like I know Georgia, they're always getting rain year round. Whereas you got places on the West Coast like California, they're always in a hot zone. So
they're always dry and they're always an issue. And California, if I remember correctly, is a safe and sane only state.
Yep.
But then again, that's a whole other conversation to have.
Yeah, it's the politics here. I mean, I agree with some of it, but we all know a lot of it has to do with money.
Realistically, yep, that's usually how it ends up.
And a lot of that money is being funneled back to TNT. And then they, put out these apps so you can report your neighbors.
I want to touch on this a little bit is the big corporate chains that do exist in Pyro. Yes, if that is what's local to you and you really don't have a mom and pop per se, more than welcome to go shop there, but be mindful of their prices and really watch what you're spending for what you're getting.
Right. My
rule of thumb is I will never spend over $100 on a box of canister shells, no matter what it is.
Mm.
Never will I ever.
Heck, even me, I'm like at 80 to 85 is typically what I want to pay for a canister box.
You're a little bit more frugal than I am. I'll go up a little bit, especially if it's a mom and pop store. But mom and pop stores are honestly what keeps the pyro business around. Is realistically mom and pop stores. You build loyalty with them. You get a lot more for your money than you would normally. And there's always, it's not just one singular brand like you'd get Phantom or TNT.
Mm-hmm.
There's a slew of brands, slew of effects. There's always something different every time you go. That's
when
really
you go to those mom and pop shops, you're going to find T-Sky, you're going to find Sky Bacon, you're going to find Cutting Edge, you're going to find all these brands that you don't find at like a TNT store or a Phantom store. Yeah. And, not to mention, Phantom, they're notorious for this. They'll do this whole buy one, get one free gimmick, and they'll mark their thing up 2.5 times what one would cost. So, supporting these mom and pop shops is really what helps keep all this good pyro around, because sooner or later, if we don't continue to support these shops, we're just going to have TNT and Phantom.
Yeah, that's very true. My only thing is I got tired of that whole buy one, get one free thing, or buy two, get one free. I mean, especially when you see an item marked at $15 and they tell you, oh, you buy one, you get two more free. So you got 3 items. You're basically paying $5 a pop. So, I mean, people aren't stupid.
If you only want one of those, you could just go on and pay that mom and pop about $3 for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what's sickened me about some of these games because, I mean, and you think about it, that's really the only industry that does that. I mean, nowhere else do you...
It really is.
Yeah.
But you have to look at their bottom line. They're moving product.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at it from the standpoint is, like if I go buy an Xbox or a PlayStation, they don't tell me it's buy one, get one free for $1,500.
No.
Or $900 or whatever. Right, so, it's... I just don't like the whole business model. I believe if a product is really that good and people want it, they'll pay the flat out price or they'll go buy all 3.
Yep. They literally will.
And one thing you'll find with like mom and pop shops too is like if you're a repeat customer with them and they get to know you over the years, they'll throw in stuff for you for free that you normally wouldn't get at like TNT or Phantom.
Yep.
A good example of this just the other day, I went and visited a store and picked up some stuff, and I've been going there for probably 7-8 years, and he threw in a free $100 no ad, just like nothing.
That's amazing right there. That's a good value.
Yeah, I spent like $800 with him, and he said, he threw in a $100 no ad. So that's kind of where.
And most of those mom and pops will do like a 10% thing when you get 10% back normally.
Yeah. All right, so I think we're almost at about the 30-minute mark. Was there anything else you guys really wanted to touch on today? I just wanted to kind of keep this short for the viewers.
There was also another thing we've been discussing, which is people are getting upset with certain companies for hiking during the season.
Ah, okay.
A few of them in particular. One of them that's local to you, well, kind of local to you, which is Red Apple. And yes, they hiked their prices up closer to a fourth, but you also have to think, Doug in his store, his supply was running low. He had trucks coming in constantly to refill that store. That store was struggling to keep stuff on the shelves because of the sheer amount of people on the West Coast that needed stuff.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned.
The store can only hold so much volume as it is.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I know one of the stores that they reached out to was Super Fireworks,
which is down in Florida, in Alabama, which is.
I thought they were like closer to Midwest, not Florida.
Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana. Yeah, that's where they're from.
They're actually my Pyrotechnicians channel sponsor is Super Fireworks. So.
Yeah, so I actually have an upcoming video on that detailing what caused all that. So I'll go into detail because there are a number of pyros and people out in the community that said, "Well, nobody saw this coming," and I can tell you
with the whole COVID, people saw it coming, but they're not going to admit it.
Right. I mean, I saw it coming. I mean, I'll go into the details as to what caused it and all the demographics and everything, but it was a melting pot. I mean, it's bound to happen based upon the demographics and everything else that was caused by COVID. So
yeah,
especially I'll tell you guys this for my subscribers. One of the reasons why I knew that was going to happen is because none of the stores had a cutoff. There was no. If you have all the supermarkets, let's say you had your Walmarts, you had your Targets, you have all these supermarkets and all these places that are
toilet paper and everything else.
Right, and so they started limiting toilet paper and everything to all the people, And here you have smaller stores, fireworks stores that aren't limiting
That are.
customers on what they could buy. So something like that is just bound to happen.
Yeah, they didn't limit it to the simple fact. A, I understand where they're coming from, money wise. They were making a killing. But at the exact same time, you need to product management.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I know Superstore in Missouri had a massive problem with, the novelty stuff. There was no kids stuff when me and Steven went at all. There was none. No assortments, nothing.
And things are going to start to get more expensive next year, especially with the new regulations for pyro that's coming out. With the new cages over 1.2-inch shells, they're requiring them to be banded in steel cages. So you can expect to see a price increase of about 10 to 15% next year is what we're looking at. So just be mindful, help support those mom and pop shops because they're going to be taking a hit with that cost.
They're going to be taking a massive hit. You have to think, those metal cages, they add, 15%. That 15% is on top of the simple fact that's per case in a container which has like over 1,000 cases in it. You have to keep that in mind. That's not a small cost.
Yep, you're looking at an extra $4,000, $5,000 in shipping costs because of the weight.
Yep.
So you're saying the smaller stores next year are going to get hit with higher fees as opposed to some of the bigger stores?
Yes. So the bigger chain stores that you're going to see aren't really going to be affected by that because their bulk of their product is in the novelties and a lot of that stuff. And their bigger stuff, they mark up so high. They have stuff from years ago that they're not worried about.
Right.
But the small stores, which do sell that bigger stuff at more reasonable prices, they're taking a massive hit because they buy, these $50,000 containers, which are now costing them upwards of $65,000 to $70,000 because of these new regulations.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty amazing.
That's an ungodly increase, especially for your local mom and pop, which is probably almost the size of a small house.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. That's why I've been at least I think since May, I think it was. I've really been pushing a lot of my hobby stores. Not just fireworks, but RC cars and other things.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Because you don't want your hobbies or your hobby stores to suffer, during this economy, and so that's when you guys should really, pay more attention to and really promote your favorite stores. Now, it's funny. But usually I promote some stores that I'm really accustomed to, some of my favorites, and I see more people focusing on what I'm posting as opposed to promoting their own favorite stores.
Yeah,
and that's just really ironic and crazy.
You gotta support the little guys in this economy, regardless of COVID. We really don't have a solid vaccine as it is. We're working on it, but we're probably gonna look into middle of next year before we really have solid answers on it. And that's really unfortunate because everybody's struggling business-wise. I know for a fact here, one of our local businesses, they're closing up. They tried so hard to stay open, even with the regulations. They just can't do it no more, and they're one of my favorite places to go.
Wow. All right, Crazy Steve, you have anything to say in closing?
I don't think so, Keo. I think we covered a lot of great topics today, and I think we should do this again sometime. It's always great to get the community together and talk about future things going on in the pirate community. So thanks for having us on today.
Yeah, definitely. I think maybe next time we'll talk a little bit more about the explosions to see if any of those will have an effect on the business. I also think that we will see a little bit more of what's going on in the industry during the Black Friday weekend, because I know a lot of fireworks stores have Black Friday specials.
They're struggling as it is to get stock in.
Let me ask you right now, do most of the stores that you guys are familiar with in the Midwest, do they do Black Friday specials?
I think the ones up by Steven are. He's a little bit norther than me. I know some of the stores around me are seasonal.
Okay.
Especially in Iowa, they're all seasonal based. Missouri, I believe 3 stores that do if you ask. I know Tom down at Superstore is an excellent guy to talk to. He always is willing to cut you a deal.
Another great guy too is Marcus Berger at Fireworks Forever up in St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin. They do ship around. If you are allowed to ship to your state, they'll drop ship right to your door. They always have incredible deals as well, and they do run Black Friday sales typically.
All right,
and usually that's the best way to shop is via how they do it, which they do wholesale shipping. You have to be specific. They don't do single item shipping. They do wholesale shipping.
Awesome. All right, guys.
By far does have very reasonable prices for wholesale. So be sure to check them out if you guys are looking to get fireworks shipped wholesale to your door. Fireworksforever.com. They're awesome.
All right, perfect, guys. I think that pretty much concludes our little cast today. I'm glad Crazy Steve Pyrotechnics and the at F10 Pyro was able to join me today here on the cast. And we're going to talk about some other topics in the next few weeks, but make sure you guys check out their channels. Their channels will be in the description below. You guys have a good day. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and share this video if you guys found it informative. And we will catch you guys later.